As I look around, I see a fabulous group of people here today. I see every age group, every gender, and every race. Now, the subject that we're going to talk about today is congestive heart failure, heart health for you and your family. Congestive heart failure affects every single one of us in one way or another. I hold a special place in my heart for this disease because I have had 2 open heart surgeries. I know the feeling of being walked down the hallway on a gurney to be split open by a surgeon's knife. I know the feeling of having my heart stopped and put on a heart-lung machine for a long period of time. I know the long recovery process and the anxiety that it involves. This is something that I want none of you to ever have to go through. So in my speech today, we're going to talk about the ways to prevent this disease. Now, according to JohnsHopkinsMedicine.org, Congestive Heart Failure, Prevention, Treatment, and Research, authored by Roger Blumenthal and Stephen Jones, there are 5 ways to do this. Number 1 is to stop smoking. Number 2 is to eat healthy. 3 is to lose the pounds. 4 is proper dental health. And 5, if it's something we can't control, take the proper steps to prevent the disease from getting worse. So number 1 is smoking, and the statistics are staggering. Nearly 40 million adults in the U.S. are smoking cigarettes, with another 16 million living with smoking-related diseases. This all according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, United States Statistics 2005 to 2014, Morbidity and Mortality Weekly, which is an internet source. And this also states that people with lower education levels are more likely to smoke than those with higher education levels. And those with disabilities are more likely to smoke than those with non-disabilities. So let's take a look around our classrooms. Let's take a look around our communities and offer advice to people on how they can quit smoking. Oftentimes, if you have been a smoker in the past, you used a certain way to stop from smoking. Maybe you can offer advice to another person which may help them quit smoking, because oftentimes smoking can seem impossible to quit because nicotine is such an addictive drug. And number 2 is healthy eating habits. And this according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, a report of the Surgeon General, National Center for Chronic Disease Prevention and Health, 2014, which is also an internet source, says that nearly 37% of U.S. adults do not eat fruits or vegetables. Fruits and vegetables are proven to fight against congestive heart failure. So instead of going to McDonald's and eating a high sodium, high fat diet, let's go to a grocery store and get fruits and vegetables for dinner. And number 3, lose the pounds. We are so lucky here in Midwestern Wisconsin to have so many great parks and walking trails and biking trails. Let's get out in our community. Let's ask a classmate. Let's say, hey, would you like to go for a walk? Would you like to go for a bike ride? Not only is this a great social activity, but this is also great for our prevention of congestive heart failure. And also number 4 is if it's something we can't control, let's take the proper precautions to prevent the disease from getting worse. Let's listen to our doctors. Let's take our medications. And number 5 is proper dental care. Now, as bacteria gets into our gums, it can go through our vessels and attack our heart. So we need to take the proper precautions and treat our dental care very importantly. Let's teach our kids to brush their teeth daily, to floss, and let's give them the proper dental care that they need to prevent their teeth from getting worse. So now, as a way to prevent this disease, this may happen if we do not do those 5 things, and that is congestive heart failure. Now, some of the symptoms that might alert us to the possibility of congestive heart failure are shortness of breath. And this is the symptom that I had. As I was working over a period of 3 days, I slowly began to have shortness of breath symptoms. The first day it was okay, the second day it was worse, and the third day it sent me to the ER. I thought I was going to die. I could not breathe at all. And that is when I realized and was told by the ER physicians that I had congestive heart failure. And number 2 is edema, which is swelling in your feet and hands. And number 3 is weakness. So let's watch for these symptoms in people. Oftentimes people are not aware, like I was, of the symptoms of congestive heart failure. So let's alert them and say, hey, maybe you should go to the doctor. Maybe you should get this checked out. Now there's 4 types of congestive heart failure that could happen if we do not follow these 5 steps. Number 1 is cardiomyopathy, which is the abnormal thickening of that heart muscle, which does not allow it to pump as effectively as it should. Number 2 is valvular disease, which is if we're eating a high-fat diet and high-sodium diet, over time our valves can become stenotic, which is calcification of that valve, which does not allow that valve to open or close as efficiently as it should have. And number 3 is hypertension, which is high blood pressure. And ways to prevent that are eating the low sodium diets and eating the fruits and vegetables. And number 4 is myocardial infarction, which is the plugging of a vessel on the outside of the heart with plaque. And that plaque is formed from eating those high-fat diets. So let's take those 5 steps again, which are eating healthily, not smoking, the proper dental care, the getting out and getting exercise. Let's use these steps to prevent this disease from ever happening. So as I look around this group here today, there's every one of us knows that we do not want this disease. So let's take the precautions that we can. Let's educate our community. Let's educate our classmates and get out there and get after it and prevent this disease. Thank you.